Talking Grit, a Detroit Lions podcast. Powered by the Monroe County Reporters. Here are your hosts, Jason Harwood and Jacob Litton.
All right, welcome everybody to Talking Grit, a Pride Preview Edition. It's finally here, week 1. We're going to discuss, obviously, Lions, Packers. I'm Jason Harwood. Jacob Litton is here. Later on in this episode, we're going to feature an interview with Dusty Evely, our favorite Packers fan that we love to hate, I guess, is maybe a way to put it. I love Dusty, but at the end of the day, he is a Packers fan, so we are not friends this week. But he's agreed to come on the show, so that's always look forward to talk to Dusty. Before we move on to the main topic here, let's remind everybody what our podcast schedule is. It's going to be similar. If you followed us last year, this is basically what we're going to be doing. Same thing, except for we've added the live show, which we're going to do Monday nights. We're going to do a live wrap-up show of the game. It'll be Monday nights if the game's on Sunday. If it's on a Monday Night Football game, which we have a couple of those this year, it'll be the day after. Thursday Night Football will kind of just depend on our schedule. A lot of times Friday nights are busy for us, so I can't promise it's going to be the next day. We always like to do it the next day, but we'll let you know when that programming time comes. So we will do a live show, which is we're hoping to include some like all 22 play breakdowns in the live show. So we'd love to have you on for that. If you can't make the live show, obviously it's going to be available as a podcast the very next day. We are going to do our Pride Preview, which is what we're doing right now. Usually it's going to be done Wednesday night. That will not be a live podcast just because we're doing interviews. We got schedules to work around. So a lot of times Jacob and I record around the interviewer's schedule. So we were going to be doing that. Usually we'll record that Wednesday night, release Thursday morning. If it's a Monday night football game or a Thursday night football game, that's obviously going to change. Monday night will probably be recorded on Thursday, released on Friday. Thursday night football is tough because we're going to be doing a recap game the week before. So that'll be up in there. So we'll let you know on that. If you want to know any programming updates, probably the best way to do it is to follow us on Twitter at Talking Grit Pod. Besides all the funny observations that I make, and I don't know, Jacob,
if you want to call it that.
No, they're hilarious. And Jacob, will sometimes put some stuff on there, but follow us on there. We're very responsive on there. We'll joke around with you. So yeah, follow us on at Talking Grit Pod, and we'll be able to hit you up there.
I used to be the only one on there, and then Jason got addicted to it, and now Jason rattles off 50 tweets a day, and nobody laughs harder at his own jokes.
Hey, at least one person's laughing, I can tell you that.
I guess.
All right. Just let me have Twitter, man. And then call next. All right. So I'm going to give a shout out to Tim V. Reach out to us via email, which you can do. TalkingGritPod at Yahoo. Is it podcast or pod? Jacob?
Podcast,
right?
But
yeah, Talking Grit Podcast at yahoo.com. Love to hear from you. You could send out questions that way. Tim V, he wrote a longer email, so I'm not going to read it all out, but he just said he loves the show. He listened to the episode with Kurt, said Kurt's awesome. We agree. Kurt was awesome. And he also believes that Craig Reynolds could be a starter because we brought up the Craig Reynolds versus Jacob Sailors. I know Kurt made that argument that he liked Sailors, thought he could usurp Craig Reynolds. Jacob and I don't agree with that, but Tim V says no. Craig would be a starter on many other teams. So I think Tim is on our side, Jacob, not on Kurt's side.
Yeah. Which is funny because before the season started, we were talking about Vaki versus Craig, and how is that going to look?
Yeah. Yep. Well, Vaki hasn't been on the field to do anything, so Craig doesn't have much to worry about. Before we get on to the Packers, how you been doing? How was your weekend? Anything major going on?
Another successful Labor Day weekend. We have the hobo dinner, the big party at my parents' house. Lots of people there. My uncle's band plays. They're called Minimum Wage. They're a pretty good band. They do a good job. Yeah. Lots of country hits and stuff like that. So not exactly my style of music, but they're a good band. They got some rock stuff too. No, but the weekend went really well. Kids started school. All of that was pretty smooth and just so ready for football, man. Even tomorrow. Cowboys versus Eagles. Bring it on.
Yep. By the time this will release, it's going to be football day, right? So if you're listening to this on podcast on release day, which a lot of you do, it's football tonight. It's going to be football. So that'll be awesome. I did
Real
want to
quick,
before we get to the Packers, Bryce
okay, I was gonna
Underwood.
say,
I want to know
I got
what.
something too.
Yes, I want to get your thoughts on Bryce Underwood for Michigan. What you thought about him? We haven't talked about him yet, so I just wonder what your thoughts.
Obviously, the hype train was super high for him, so I didn't know what to expect because we've heard these things before, and it's one of those things. Everybody that's seen him throw in person talks about how great he is and how ready he is, and NFL talent already. I thought he really showed the arm strength right away, and I know it's not exactly a top opponent, but for that, for him to be 18 years old, this is his very first game. And they said the last Michigan quarterback to start as a freshman was Tate Forcier back in like 2009, and he did not look good. That was not, we knew things were not going well. So it's nice to finally have a quarterback to be excited about. When JJ McCarthy was a freshman, we all wanted him to start. He just wasn't starting. They refused to pull the trigger on that. So, yeah, give him a lot of NIL money, let him play right now. And I thought he looked good. What were your thoughts, though?
Yep. Good. I mean, obviously, cannon for an arm, just like some of those seam routes were like eye opening for his very first college game. He's got a lot of room to grow. Like you said, the opponent isn't, exactly lighting the world on fire. I don't think they were terrible, but that's we'll see. And also, are they holding anything back because they don't want to show Oklahoma too much next week? Could be. Backs look pretty good. I'm pretty happy with Michigan football. I mean, it's crazy to me because you and I both have 14-year-olds to think like in 4 years could I see my kid, being like not. I mean, our kids aren't going to be in that position, but just like the timeline 4 years from now, like I can't imagine mentally being prepared for that moment. 10,000 fans looking down at you.
It does give you a different perspective to think of it that way. Because I was doing the same thing. I was like, my God, like there's just no way.
I know it's insane. I know high school, you kids really will grow up and make some huge changes. So maybe our boys will be different, in 4 years will be totally different. You could see them in that position. I mean, neither of them are going to be starting quarterback for Michigan football. I can tell you that. But just mentally being even any Division One school starting, that just seems insane to me that our kids are that close. But yeah, I like Bryce. Looks better. I wish he was on our team last year. We would have maybe made the playoffs. I think last year Michigan would have.
And this year, it's just develop. Don't make too many mistakes. We'll see how we look.
Yeah,
really try to compete next year. But there's an outside chance of the playoffs this year. The way the league's set up now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
My question for you though, hang on, because I had something I wanted to ask you. I don't know if you saw this.
I thought you were going to ask me about Bryce.
No, this is a hot topic on Twitter right now. Red Zone. I don't know how much you watch Red Zone, but I don't know if you saw this. Red Zone, obviously ESPN, Disney bought it out. Red Zone will no longer be commercial free. So, the slogan every Sunday says 7 hours of commercial free football start now. That's not the case anymore. So they, it sounds like they are going to actually stop. It's not going to be nonstop football. They will stop and have a commercial break where there's no football on. What are your thoughts? I don't think you watch Red Zone that much anyway, right? I mean, it's different for you when you're at the game, but.
Yeah. So, like, there's, 6 games a year that I'm not at home watching it. But no, we watch it with the boys. Sometimes we'll have 2 TVs up, one with the Red Zone and one other. No, that was the last vestige of commercial-free TV. There's none of that out there. And so, no, I'm going to miss that. I know that, NFL said this was in the making before the ESPN thing. I got to say that accelerated stuff. I know they were trying things like doing commercials during, and I'm okay with like the side commercials and still having some play on, but to totally leave the games, that's what I don't like.
That's what rubs me the wrong way. If you got to minimize and make the game smaller on the screen, and then you have whatever Dr. Pepper, whatever logo, whatever's going on in the background, that's fine. You can ignore that, or even if they cut the audio and play that commercial, but you can still see it. But to completely go away from the football games is, that's unfortunate. People talking about boycotting, but, we're all addicted to football. I just don't know.
ain't gonna boycott. Good. You and 5 other people can do that because the rest of us are gonna be putting up with the commercials. That's just what's gonna happen. Sad day for Red Zone fans, but doesn't surprise me. I'm surprised it's went this long without commercials, to be honest with you. So I guess we could be thankful that we had it for this long, as opposed to mourning our loss. All right, man. Let's talk about this game. Let's talk a little bit about the Packers. Start away with how this game's shaping up this week and who's favorites and stuff like that. So I'm gonna let you start talking.
The season is finally here, guys. I've been waiting for a long time. Finally, opening week. What better way to start against Green Bay? Fresh off their brand new trade, their fancy shiny toy, Micah Parsons, that might be hurt. We want to crush them right away. Let's get into the history here. All-time record, the Packers do have an advantage there. 106 wins to our 78. Right now, after the Parsons trade, the Packers are 2.5-point favorites. They did finish 11-6 last year, which was good enough for the playoffs. They made the playoffs. They lost the Eagles in the wild card round, 10-22. But 11-6 was the record. They went 1-5 against the NFC North, and their win was at Chicago, and they blocked a 46-yard field goal as time expired. So they were a field goal away from going 0-6 in the division. Surprising that they still were able to make the playoffs like that. But, NFC North, tough division. So, it's possible. Lions went 2-0 against them last year. We won 24-14 in Green Bay. That was in week 9. So we did not have Hutch in that game. And Brian Branch was ejected in the middle of the second quarter on some bull crap. But we won't have to revisit that right away. And the game in Detroit, we won a close game, 34-31. That was when we decided to go for it on fourth down. I believe that's when Goff kind of fell down to his knee as he handed it off. And Packers fans everywhere cried that should have counted as a kneel down and they should have got the ball back. Hilarious. And then Jake Bates kicked a field goal as time expired for the win.
That, you learned a lot of Packers fans didn't understand the NFL rules at that point. Like that's a kneel down. His knee touched the ground, so he's down. Like, no, he didn't give himself up. He tripped, and no one touched him. So I'm sorry, you were wrong, and you lost the game.
People were like slow motion online, zooming in, like, look at his knee on the ground. That means nothing.
Yeah, exactly. They wanted some of that ref magic, is what they wanted. Trey Flowers hands to the face penalty. They
what they're used to. Yeah, they're not used to losing the Lions.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers face mask that just didn't happen. They just wanted some last minute magic, but didn't happen. So that's awesome. You're right, and they didn't face Hutch either time last year. Yeah, Hutch is going to be ready to do his thing. Let's talk. Early in the season, we will look at what last year's rankings were. As we get later on in the year, we'll talk, more about updated rankings. But obviously, week 1, we have nothing else to go off. So we'll see how this Packers team lines up against last year's. But their overall ranking on PFF was 15th. Their offense was tied for 8th. They have the same offense coordinators as they did last year. Adam Senovich is, I think, how you say it. They were 8th with points for average points per game, 27.1. So their offense could score. 5th in total yardage, which equated to 12th in passing and 5th in rushing. And they have Josh Jacobs. Obviously, that doesn't surprise you. The defense was ranked 12th on PFF. Their defense coordinator, Jeff Hafley, was better defensive coordinator than their previous one. I forgot his name by now, and most Packers fans hated him. So I think Hafley was, a welcome addition to that team last year. They're pretty good in defense. Like, their points a total are 6th against. They only let the other teams average 19.9 points per game, which is very good. 6th in total yards, 13th in passing, and 7th in rushing. Their rushing is going to take a hit this year, so we'll see how that goes. But one thing that did kill the Packers last year was their special teams. It was atrocious last year. Last ranked team is last ranked, and I remember seeing them play just constant mistakes on special teams. So hopefully that's the same for them this year, and they didn't do anything to improve it. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
Jacob,
that's
as
a
far
wrench
as
in
like
there.
from exactly. Well, as far as like last between the difference between last year and this year. Why don't you tell everybody, how this Green Bay team is different this year as opposed to last year?
Yeah, so this is how they're going to look different. So players leaving, they moved on from cornerback Jair Alexander, finally, who was a great player for them when he was healthy, but he just seemed like he was never healthy. And then the bigger one for us, they traded defensive tackle Kenny Clark to Dallas, and he was the one stuffing the run up the middle, and he's not there anymore, which is good news
Yeah,
for
three-time Pro
Gibbs
Bowler.
and
So I mean, that's a big play.
right.
Big player.
Gibbs and Demo, running up the middle. Yeah, so those are the two notable people that left. Players added, obviously, we'll start with the big one, Micah Parsons. They traded 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark to Dallas to get Micah Parsons, who's injured, but it sounds like he's going to play. Time will tell if the contract and everything was worth it. They also signed offensive guard Aaron Banks from the 49ers, signed cornerback Nate Hobbs from the Raiders, and they finally drafted a receiver in round 1, Matthew Golden out of Texas, who is somebody that I think we both talked about during the draft. He was somebody that we both kind of liked, and not anymore.
No, nope, don't like him anymore. He's on my hate list. So last year when we did these prime previews, we would go through like the top ranked players for the other teams. We're going to still continue to do that. However, Jacob had the idea and he came up with like some really good names to name this section because we like to name our different sections. So we're asking you, our listeners, to either reach us out, email, do a fan mail, or do Spotify comment, some way of reaching out to us, Twitter, something like that. Tell us what you want this section to be named. I got 2 choices for you. It's either Marked Prey, or if I'm voting, this is my vote, Main Threat. The main is in like lion's mane. I like it. So, they're threatening our main. I like that. Very, very clever, Jacob. Was it you or your boys that came up with that? I don't trust that it was you.
No, it was a combination of me looking at fantasy football names and different, just different Lions-related things like that. Those are the best ones.
All right. Well, I like that name. So Main Threat is for me, but the other one that we're saying is Marked Prey. So however, just reach out to us. Whatever one wins, that's what this segment will be named from henceforth. The players that we need to look out for, they're divisional players. You guys know these names, so we'll go through these real quick. But Josh Jacobs, obviously ranked number 3 in PFF, obviously all pro last year. Jordan Love, coming back, he was injured, right? And so like he did surgery in the offseason and or during training camp, really. So he hasn't really practiced at all. So that's kind of interesting. We'll see how that works out. Micah Parsons, who Jacob mentioned, PFF ranked number 6, Pro Bowl, all pro, 3 seasons career. Didn't play at all this preseason, so we'll see how that works out. Rashawn Gary, Michigan fans know Rashawn Gary. He kind of is really underperformed probably from what I thought. I mean, he's a very good player, but I would expected him to have a little bit better career. Just one Pro Bowl to his name. And then they have their all pro safety. I say all pro in quotation marks because it should be our guy that got the all pro, but it's Xavier McKinney. Very good safety, no doubt about it, but all pro should be another guy next to another guy's name. All right, Jacob, those are the players to watch out for. Who are the players that showed up on the injury report? Let's start with those Packers.
All right, injury report for the Packers. So first off, their wide receiver Christian Watson is out. He's on the PUP list, and running back Marshawn Lloyd is out. He's on the injured reserve. So maybe we see Marshawn Lloyd and Christian Watson in the next matchup, but they will not be playing in this one. Let's just go with the most notable people. Their starters here that showed up on the injury report. Nate Hobbs, their new cornerback, he did not practice on Wednesday. You've got Elgton Jenkins, got in a limited practice. He's their starting center. Jaden Reed, their wide receiver, also did not practice, and he was kind of a threat. Then you have Micah Parsons, limited practice is what they're calling it. And Jordan Love, who, has been up and down practice and everything. You already mentioned he didn't play, or Micah Parsons didn't play. I think Jordan Love played one game of preseason, didn't he?
He might have got in early on, but then they decided to do the surgery, and it's on his non-throwing hand. The surgery was on his non-throwing thumb.
Right. But he got in a full practice. So it sounds like the rumors that we heard before that he was going to be ready for week 1 are true because he is practicing. Time will tell how effective he's going to be. I know Micah Parsons, they've also said, too, that he's probably going to have an epidural injection so that he can play if he's far enough along, if he's well enough to go. And the Cowboys, doctors in the Cowboys did not think he was ready to go. He was on like medication therapy and doing different treatments and stuff. They didn't think he was going to be ready. And now all of a sudden the Packers are paying him $50 million. They're like, we're going to shoot you with this and you're going to get out there.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, to me, it's like he's coming into a brand new team, brand new defense, obviously. And then now he's a limited practice. Just tells me that, I mean, I don't know. I know it's your shiny new toy, but do you want to risk worsening a back injury on a defensive lineman? That seems risky to me, but maybe it's wishful thinking. So he's out of the lineup. All right, man. Let's cover these Lions that are on those lists. This list is very short compared to what we're seeing last year, so loving it. Trevor Nowaski did not practice. Elbow injury, Sione Vaki, hamstring, still he's dealing with that from preseason. Awasika, our backup guard, limited practice with a shoulder injury. And Isaac Tesloff showed up on there. I know 2 days ago he showed up, or it was actually yesterday. Did not practice, but no word on it. Dan Campbell revealed today he's just dealing with an illness. So no injury, just, he's been in all the meetings, virtual meetings and all that like that. So he's caught up there. Today they didn't even have a practice, so we don't even know if he could have fully practiced or not. Today was a walkthrough. Today was just meetings. Tomorrow will be a full practice. So tomorrow when the beat writers get out there, we'll be able to know if he's out there full practice. And then I'm sure they'll ask, Dan Campbell, and he's having a press conference in the morning. So we'll check that out. Just to catch up for people that are just getting into football that don't really pay attention in the preseason or off-season stuff. Miles Frazier, our draft pick, he's out on the PUP list. Josh Pascal is still on the NFI, so he's out. Aleem McNeil is on the PUP list, which means those three guys are going to miss at least the first 4 games of the season. Aleem, the reports are that he's ahead of schedule. So what was originally thinking of in November, I mean, they've pushed back and say October. So that's good. Getting him back as earlier is good. And then obviously Levi is our big injury. He's out for the season, and so is Ennis Rakestraw, all out for the season. All in all, I'm okay. Hutch's name is not on any of these lists, and he's going to be fully healthy and ready to go. So that's what we need to see, right?
Can't wait.
All right. I think right about now is our time to head over. We're going to talk with Dusty, learn a little more about our Packers, see how excited he is about the Micah Parsons trade, or unexcited. I'm betting on his Twitter that it's more excitement than worry. But it'll be interesting to ask him that question: like, was it worth it to give up all that capital for a player of Micah Parsons' pedigree? So we'll see. We'll get to the interview and we'll hit you on the other side. All right. We want to welcome Dusty Evely to the Talking Grit podcast. Glad to have Dusty back this year. He is our Packers fan that we love to hate to love, something like that. Some mix like that. You could find him on Acme Packing Company, Pack a Day podcast, and welcome to the show, Dusty.
Appreciate you guys having me. It's always good to talk to you guys. A couple times a year. I guess we did this twice last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was our first year doing it. Yeah, no, it's good seeing you guys again.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm glad that you
even better that you're wearing the Tigers hat.
Yeah,
so he's wearing the Detroit hat. He's a Tigers fan, even though
this time last year when we were talking, it was not looking pretty, and so I think I had hidden my Tigers hat in the closet. But this year I'm out in full force. So
yeah, all right.
I know Dusty's trying to create favors here wearing his Tigers hat. If you're listening on audio, he's right away. I turn on the video and there's Dusty with his Tiger hat, and just no, it's good call. Tigers won earlier today. Finally took one from the Mets. Kerry Carpenter had a line shot blast, which was much needed. Give us some breathing room. So Dusty's keeping, right before we went live, keeping track of the Royals. I know they're 9.5 games back. They lose today, then we'll be in that double-digit range. I think the magic number is down to like 12, 13, something like that. So we're in a good spot.
In that range, man. We're counting down.
We're going to spot. So, all right, Jacob, why don't you start us off here? We're going to start talking about this Packers-Lions game. We've done our Tigers talk, and let's get on to the game at hand here.
That's right.
All right. Dusty, I don't know if you're already sick of talking about this. I imagine that you're still pretty stoked, but we're going to start with the big news. So I want to know, what was your initial reaction to the Micah Parsons trade? Were you upset or conflicted at all about losing Clark, losing the 2 first-round picks, or do you feel like the aggressive win now approach was the right move?
It's Micah Parsons, man. I don't care about the first round picks. I like that does not matter to me too much. It will at some point, I'm sure. It does not now. The Kenny Clark one stings. Just because he was, I mean, one of my all time favorite Packer players. He's been there. The joke was always Kenny got drafted. I think he was 19 when he was drafted. When he played his first NFL game, he could not legally drink. I think he was 20 when the season started, and he's just been a monster, been a rock in the middle of the field. Had a down year last year, but like just had the way he carries himself on and off the field. I've just have forever been just a huge fan of Kenny Clark, and so losing him, not just his on the field stuff, but his off the field, what he does in the locker room, what he does for the community, like that stinks, man. Like you don't want to lose a player like that. He was 30, and again 30 with like 10 years in the league because he got drafted so young. I remember that draft. I wanted, I don't know if you guys remember Sean Oakman out of Baylor. I really wanted Sean Oakman. I was like, I don't want Kenny Clark, and yeah, I think he's maybe arrested or something. I don't know if he ever played an actual down in the league. So
yeah,
GMs know more than I do. Yeah, the Kenny Clark thing stinks. I mean, for, again, multiple reasons. He had a down year last year that he injured his toe in the Brazil game, and they said that was part of it. But, like, he's also 30 years old and has been playing for 10 years. And so, like, they weren't just based on his contract. This is what I tell myself. Based on his contract, they were not keeping him after this year anyway. They were gonna have to cut him or restructure after this year. And so that stinks. You hate losing a guy like that. Ultimately, I mean, it was disbelief when I saw it, and then seeing the return was 2 firsts and Kenny Clark. I mean, that's it. Like, knowing as good as Kenny was, I do think, I mean, he's past his prime at this point. I think he still has some good years left, but he wasn't staying after this year anyway. And so to get a player like Micah Parsons, not a rental. That's the thing. He's a 26-year-old prime of his career that you sign him to an extension. To give up 2 first, those guys don't come onto the market. To put up the 2 firsts and a guy you weren't going to keep after this year anyway, as you're like, that feels like a bargain, man. So, yeah, it was a kind of disbelief, kind of one of those, like, my brother texted me and I just kind of stared at my phone for a bit. And then I was checking to make sure everything was on the up and up. The first round picks will hurt eventually, but this team is so young. They're going to have to pay some guys eventually. But even some of the guys I think we're going to be up for contract, like in the next couple of years, I don't know if they were going to bring some of those guys back anyway. They're so young. Some money's going to be coming off the books. Like, the first round picks will hurt, but really, Gutekunst has done a lot of good work in the mid rounds. He's done better in the mid rounds than the first round sometimes anyway. So ultimately, I mean, they'll take their lumps, but do 2 firsts on Kenny Clark. Like, I'd do that in a heartbeat. That seems like an absolute bargain. So I'm thrilled by that. Hurts losing Kenny, but man, it still feels like it's not quite real, just because that doesn't feel like, why would you trade a player like Micah Parsons? I still.
Yeah.
Jerry
what a
Jones
colossal mess up from Jerry. Yeah. Right.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. My first response to Jacob was F me. That was when I saw the note, and like I texted him, and then he saw my text before he saw the Micah Parsons thing, but then he put 2 and 2 together real quick after that.
Yeah.
I the rumors before, where the Packers were interested, but a lot of times those are just rumors, right?
And the Packers are always interested. In the Packers world, the thing is, the joke is always they're in every conversation, but they, like, the deal never gets done. Like, they're always there, but they're never going to get him.
Yeah. I just think the timing of it was crazy, just right before the season like that. That just, Jacob said that on our podcast, like that stuff just doesn't happen. I mean, those trades don't happen in the NFL, and then to have it happen like a week before the season starts, that's even crazier.
I think the Mac one, I think when the Bears got Khalil Mack, I think that was like a week and a half before. Like, that was pretty similar in terms of the timing of this stuff. But yeah, it's I mean, it's incredibly rare. It's Jerry just had waited. He waited so long to get the Dak deal done. He waited so long to get the CD Lamb done. I think he just thought, I can wait and get this done as well. And then it's just all the weird, there's so many stories coming out, man. All the weird, like, he wouldn't deal with an agent. He was only going to deal with Micah. He thought he had a deal in place, and Micah's like, my agent wasn't there. And like, it feels like it got real personal, and Jerry thought he could work through it, and it just hit an impasse, man. Like, it's insane. I don't know how you let a guy like that go.
Yeah, we had a conversation in the hallway or something, and all of a sudden he was like, "Yeah, we shook on it. We've got the deal in place."
Yeah.
Like,
it wasn't
not
even like
the way these things work.
It wasn't even a handshake deal. It was like in passing conversation deal.
Right.
Also, like, Jerry's trying to cover up for it, like the next day or like later on that day, and just well, we need to shore up our run defense. No, no one says we need to we need to Kenny Clark instead of Micah Parsons, Defensive Player of the Year candidate every year.
So listen, if you Kenny's fine against the run. If you wanted run defense from the Packers last year, you wanted TJ Slayton, not Kenny Clark. Like you got the wrong guy.
Man. All right. Let's move on from Micah here. Lions fans don't want to think about it. And I don't want to think about it either. I don't want to think about the Packers any way they got better. But, anyways, you guys finally drafted a first round wide receiver. And I think, I want to see what Aaron Rodgers' face was when you guys drafted Matthew Golden. Number one, did you like the pick? And, how has he looked? And, what do you think? What's a successful rookie season for Matthew Golden?
I love the pick, man. Me and my other younger brother went to the draft this year. He'd always wanted to go. This was our first year. We kind of made a call like 2 weeks before, like, we don't know if it's going to happen again, man. Let's pull the trigger. So we went up, got to experience that firsthand, day one only. And it was incredible. I loved Golden in college. Packers have certain thresholds of players that they like to draft, and Golden is slightly undersized for that. So I didn't think he was on their board. And so that was very much all right, man. It's Matthew Golden. My first thought was, I don't know how he slots into this offense because he is a little undersized. I think he's a little bigger than Jaden Reed, but they profile as roughly the same player. And Jaden Reed does not get on the field in 12 personnel, the heavy package stuff, because like he can't really block. And so that was my first thought was, all right, Matthew Golden, this is cool. How does he fit into this like hyper condensed everything based around the run game offense when you already have an undersized guy in here? So I think that remains to be seen. I mean, I will say in the preseason, they had him, I think his second snap, they had him as an insert blocker on a run play underneath the tackle and tight end to the run side. He didn't do great, but he also didn't embarrass himself. And I am curious his usage. How much are they going to have him? How much are they going to have him do some of that stuff versus like, because he's a speedy guy, really good hands. I mean, I say it's a really low bar to clear, but best hands on the team from what we've seen, from what he showed in college. Good route runner, good off the line, real smooth, real smooth. So off the bat, Watson's out. Probably he's on the pup, so he's out the first 4 weeks. I wouldn't be shocked if he's back after week 6, but Golden is the fastest guy on the team with Watson down. So how are they going to use him? He's not only going to be a take the top off the defense guy, he's a full-fledged route runner, but how much are they going to put on his plate early in the year? Is the full route tree available to him in this offense, or is it just we're going to have you run 3 routes, you run them fast, we're going to try to get you 5 to 6 touches a game? I mean, I think based on everything I've heard in training camp, based on what he showed in preseason, they've not said it. They have not said this. I think they're going in with, all right, Golden's our number one. Golden's our number one wide receiver. And I think everything shakes out from that. They still got Romeo Doubs, who is fine as a 2, as a 3, decent hands, good possession guy. You're hoping one of either Wicks or Reed has a really nice rebound from last year, but I think they're hoping that Golden is the one. Again, a little undersized, but I think he can do everything they're going to ask him to do. Again, they're not like, he's going to do some blocking. They're not going to ask him to do lockdown blocking, and he's been willing in that. So I think they're looking for every way to get him on the field. I think he's going to see a lot of snaps. I don't know how much of the passing game is going to be built around him, but I think they see him as a 1, and they're kind of building stuff off of there. So we'll see how it shakes out. First week should be interesting, but I think that's how they view him right now.
Nice.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's somebody that we both had our eye on in the draft too. Somebody, we didn't think was going to be coming to the Lions per se, but just, a good player, an electric player, somebody that I did not, want to fall into the Packers' lap. But, so you were there the first round when they announced that pick. That's, that's awesome. It, like you said, once in a lifetime. Me and Jason both went to the draft last year.
Nice.
Different days. But yeah, no, the draft experience was just incredible.
Mm-hmm. It was amazing. I didn't know how they're going to do it up, man. But yeah, it was amazing experience. Loved it.
How did you feel when they drafted Savion and Williams, when they drafted him in the 3rd round? I mean, you went wide receiver round 1. So was that just a huge surprise?
Not really, because there is kind of some flux in the wide receiver room. You're not sure kind of what's going to happen. My initial thought was because Jaden Reed had always been this, slot guy only, basically smaller guy, but like their gadgety guy, the guy they use on a lot of gadget stuff. He was, when they broke out a lot of that say 2 back, but it wasn't really 2 back. He had the split gun and looks last year, and Josh Jacobs was on one side and Jaden Reed's on the other side. They didn't handle the ball too much, but there's a lot of routes from the backfield. There's a lot of jet sweep stuff, but Reed has shown himself to be like a really good receiver. And I think to me, almost a Savion pick was like, let's free up Reed to do some receivery things. Savion like is a athletic freak. I don't know if you've seen that man try to catch a ball. Like he's not good at it. He'll make some fantastic catches, but like he is really inconsistent with his hands. So he seems to me like all right, man, we want a guy just to do gadgety stuff that maybe we can teach to be a receiver. He's doing jet sweep stuff. He's doing end around stuff. We're putting him in the backfield with Josh Jacobs and doing some of that orbit motion, release to the flat. He's got speed. You got to respect it. If you have a guy before Watson get back, they just like run fast in a straight line that way. It's probably Savion Williams because he's got speed to do it. And that frees up Reed to do, that makes Golden where Golden doesn't have to do that stuff. And then it allows Reed to be like more of just a receiver. So to me, Williams, the Savion Williams, I like that pick less for the player himself and more for like what that player does that can maybe free up some other guys.
Makes sense. All right. So we're going to flip it a little bit here. We're going to go with the defensive question now. So the team finally moved on from their longtime corner, Jair Alexander, who was great when he was on the field, but lately just seemed like he was never on the field, could not stay healthy for one reason or another. But how confident are you now in Keyshawn Nixon and Nate Hobbs, to fill those starting cornerback roles?
I mean, if healthy, I feel pretty good about that. It's the health that concerns me. I think Nixon was kind of a punching bag for a bit. He got a contract to essentially be the kick returner and then got thrust into slot duty and was good and then graduated to the outside and he takes some heat, but he played pretty well last year on the outside. Like I think he played, he's not amazing, but I'm perfectly fine with him as an outside corner. And then, Hobbs, I think for what Hafley wants to do, and they talked about like, cause he was slot only, I think, with the Raiders. They want to bump him outside and nickel. I think they're probably going to play him in slot still just to kind of get him closer to the line because he's a demon against the run. Hafley wants to beat people up at the line. Like he wants hands on guys. He wants to reroute, especially with the pass rush that the Packers hopefully will have this year. Kind of disrupt some of that stuff, disrupt the timing a little bit. I think Hobbs is perfect for that. Like not a burner by any stretch of the imagination, but long arm, physical, good enough technique. He can good recovery, smart player. I think Hobbs is really good. The issue with he can't stay healthy. He hasn't played a full season since he's been in the league. Has barely practiced with the team at all. He had a cleanup surgery on his knee. I think that from all accounts, like he says, was not necessary. It was kind of one of those things like I can play with this, but it was early enough in training camp that like, well, if I get this done now, I'll be ready for the season, which is fine. But he's had injury concerns and he has not practiced at all. So I think right now he's slated to play this week from what I've seen. I still don't think he's practiced this week. So those two guys, again, if they're healthy, that's not like a killer tandem. I think the safety room more than makes up for that. I think the safety room is incredible. But those corners are fine for a little bit. But then if Hobbs gets injured, I think it gets a little more dicey on the outside. But I think those guys are fine if they're out there.
And you're probably hoping the pressure makes up for your lack of talent on the outside. I'm sure that's what the Packers are hoping.
100%.
Yep. All right. I must go back to the offense here. We're going to talk Jordan Love. All right.
Go.
Let's talk about him. Like, what is your general thoughts on Jordan Love, especially in relation with the with the contract he signed, with how well he played at the end of 2 years ago, that playoff push, and then last year had some injury stuff that probably held him back. So you're overall, and then he had surgery, just this offseason. So are you happy with the production that Jordan Love's given you? And what else does he need to do to like justify that contract in your mind if he hasn't done that already?
I really like Jordan Love. I think he's, process is good. I think he sees the field well. Footwork, drop back footwork is really good as far as like tying that stuff to the concept, which like none of that stuff he was doing out of college. Those were like all concerns. You have the occasional spray, like accuracies, like he'll spray occasionally, usually like intermediate area of the field, middle of the field, dude. He's nails middle of the field. Like he's really good there. But just like outside the numbers, sometimes, deep ball has gotten better. I think he's made better decisions. I think it's gotten more accurate down the field. I think a couple main areas. You mentioned the injuries and there was stuff offensively. They broke out stuff when Willis was there. Willis played those 2 games. They couldn't do with Love because he messed up his knee. One of the last plays of the Eagles game, week 1 down in Brazil. And then when they brought him back, like they had stuff they want to do he couldn't do because he couldn't move. And then he started to get a little healthier and then he injured his groin and he couldn't do it again. And so there was so much of, I think, just mobility wise, he couldn't do last year. And that affected him somewhat. So I think that kills his numbers a little bit from last year. That kills, I think, overall perception of him. I think the injury sapped some of that. I think he's smart quarterback, hard worker, tremendous arm, can throw from any platform. I really, really like Jordan Love. I think the receivers are still somewhat of an issue with the drops. They're not where they're supposed to be sometimes, which we even saw in his short time in the preseason. There was like a Romeo Dobbs, who's, one of the seasoned vets on this team at whatever he is, 23, 24 years old. One of the vets in the room ran a wrong route and threw off the timing of everything. So some of the wide receiver stuff still concerns me a little bit. I think Love is not without his issues. I said all that. Love's not without his issues. I think he is the couple main areas he can get better. He needs to know when to give up on a play. That's one of his big downfalls at the moment. Now, some of that, I think he's talked a lot in the offseason about like scrambling more, which again, I think he wanted to do last year. Like he just couldn't do it. And throwing the ball away. Like that's been one of his issues since he came in the league, is like he's got and some of those guys you get with that arm, like I can make any throw. That's true, but like he shouldn't always try to do that. So I think that was one thing to his detriment. Sometimes Rodgers was incredible at that. Was like, listen, this play isn't going well. These guys are not where they need to be. I'm going to buy a little time with my legs, and if I don't like it, I'm throwing the ball away. Love got better at that last year, but like still reverted back into like I can fit that ball in there. Like at times when I think I think that's just in his DNA. Like he's going to do that. He's not going to be Rodgers said this season where we were through like 40 touchdowns and 3 picks. Like Love's never going to do that. Love's going to have digit interceptions pretty much every year. And he's a big game hunter. He's going to chuck the ball. He will chuck the ball down. We've seen him do it. There's a narrative that Love does not work progressions and does not hit the check down. That's incorrect. He just doesn't like doing it. Like he will do it if he sees it, but if he wants to, he's just going to chuck it. So I think that's always going to be part of it. You got to live with that. Like he's a big game hunter. He's not always going to be the most efficient quarterback, but I do think if he scrambles a little more, which I think he will this year, and if he learns when to give up on a play, I think you're looking at a different quarterback. Those are two really relatively small tweaks. Whether he does it or not, I don't know. But I think who he is at his base, the money, I don't care about the money. Like that's the going rate for quarterbacks, and you're paying on the promise. Like that's fine. It's a lot of money. It has not prevented them from paying Micah Parsons, has not prevented them from doing probably a lot of the deals they're going to want to do anyway. Like the money doesn't matter to me. Really, it's not my money, and it has not prevented them from doing anything. I don't really care. I do think there's issues with his game, and I think some of them are correctable, and some he'll just always be that dude. I think you just kind of live with it. But I'm a big fan of his. I really like him a lot, and I'm looking forward to a really good season from him.
I'm not looking forward to a good season from him, but you're used to having a gunslinger back there. Before Aaron Rodgers, you had a guy who would throw the ball up for grab, right? And he's still, regardless of what
going
kind
back
of person
in time
he is,
a little bit.
Yeah, regardless of the type of person he is, still a very good quarterback, and I would have loved to have him in a Lions uniform. All right, Jake, I'm gonna throw it to you.
All right, a basic question here, I guess. So, who on the Lions offense most concerns you? Or who do you think the Packers are going to have trouble slowing down? What person?
I mean, we just talked about the cornerback room. So, I mean, Amon-Ra is very, very good. I mean, Jamo's kind of the big Gabe guy. Like he can beat you over the head. I think the safeties can do a little bit with that. The way they look to get Amon-Ra open and what he does both in the run game and pass game, man, I don't know if they have a guy to stop that. I think if it's Hobbs, if Hobbs is healthy and you just like follow that dude, which say follow that dude, it's hard to do. They motion him, they get free releases a whole lot. But if you want like physicality with physicality, you got Hobbs. You can rotate a safety down. I like McKinney was great last year. Evan Williams was tremendous last year when he was healthy. Katana Ladapo is a guy we may see a little bit more of. Javon Bullard, we may see some more of. Like those guys do not shy away from contact. Maybe Bullard a little more than the other guys, but those are guys that don't shy away from contact. And so as far as the physicality in that game, I think they'd be up for it, but Lions do such a good creative job of getting Amon-Ra free releases, getting him open in creative ways. And I think that as we just talked about all the cornerbacks, I don't know if I like halfway. I like the defensive coordinator a lot. I think he's going to have a good plan. He showed a lot down the stretch last year, and I'm really excited. But I think there's one guy. I mean, I could also say like on the run game, like Jahmyr Gibbs absolutely terrifies me. But Amon-Ra is like such a focal point of that. I trying to look for like a matchup for him. I don't know if there's a guy on there that's going to be like a stopper. I think he's going to get his, and you just got to hope no one else really kills you.
Yeah. Amon-Ra hates Green Bay too, so that was I'm sure that riles up Packers fans.
I think Amon-Ra hates everyone. I don't know. Do not take it personally.
That's true.
No. No, I think he extra hates Green Bay though. Even though that's where he would have been happy getting drafted by you guys. Like he's been on
That's where
record
his
with
brother
that.
was when he was
Yep.
drafted. I wanted
Right.
him. I wanted Amon Ra in the worst way, man. I think he would have been perfect. So
I love Amon-Ra, but I think I'd hate him if he was on any other team. Just because
100%. He's one of those dudes.
Yeah.
he's just one of those guys that like doesn't look like he should beat you. He just doesn't. Like he's not overly imposing physically. He will talk. He's just Amon-Ra, but like he just works so hard that it's like, why is this guy
He's
beating
not a
me?
burner. He's not a big guy. He's
Yeah.
just very good. He's a baller.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. All right, let's switch your gear now. So you're the offensive coordinator for Green Bay. Where do you attack the Lions, or where do you think their weak points are? And then conversely, where do you want to avoid going with the ball?
Man, it's tricky. I think with the Lee McNeil out, I'm looking to run. I don't know the offensive line. I think the Packers have some issues on the offensive line, but I think they got bigger there on purpose this offseason. They moved Jenkins inside. They got Aaron Banks. Belton's not going to play, but they drafted Belton, who's a big dude. Jordan Morgan probably will not play in this game, but he's a bigger dude and they drafted him last year. Like I think they had a really hard time last year creating movement up front with 5, even 6 when they Kraft in the mix. I think they want to run. That's in this is what this team wants to do. And I mean, Hutchinson's incredible. I think you can run on this defensive line. I think the Packers are going to want to do that. So I'm all about that. I do think there's going to be a lot of misdirection. I think they're going to do a lot of the stuff they did last year as far as like misdirection in the run game. I don't know how you guys feel about the Detroit linebackers. I really like Anzalone. The other guys, I don't know about their eyes. So I think you throw some misdirection at them. I think you can create some creases there. And I think that's what they're going to want to do. I mean, I think they could attack him on the outside depending on what what Golden does, what he gives you. They're going to look to hit some big shots there, but I think down to down, I think they're going to want to try to grind this game a little bit.
I'll let you talk about the linebackers. Teach Dusty about the linebackers, Jacob.
Yeah. So I mean, Derek Barnes was injured, so he's coming off injury, so maybe he's a little bit slower to it, I guess you might say. But Jack Campbell's the other linebacker, and he's very effective.
Jack Campbell. That's the thing. I don't like Jack Campbell.
He's gonna crash down, and I mean they might stack the box, do whatever they got to do. Shepard, obviously the new defensive coordinator, but I'm very confident in our linebackers being able to step up and try to help. And DJ Reader fully healthy. We got the rookie Tyleek up in the middle too. Time's going to tell how that's going to go. But I think you're right to say the misdirection, staying with that game is definitely going to be the key to hoping somebody over pursues. And, Green Bay's very good at doing that. They're very good, especially with Josh Jacobs finding the hole. But I think it's going to be a very good matchup between the linebackers and seeing how they respond.
That's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's hard to pick, honestly, when you try to like work and you attack them. I mean, again, I don't like the linebackers, but I mean, it's a good defense. It's tough to find. The safety room's good. I love Brian Branch. Kirby Joseph is incredible back there. You've got physical corners. Like it's hard to pick a spot as far as where these guys are going to go. The defensive coordinator really is like how is this going to go? Well, a lot of that stuff is like Aaron Glenn's teaching. Like how much of that was Aaron Glenn, and how much of that was the players in terms of like the way they played, where they were, all of that. Like I'm really curious about that. But it's good pieces all along this defense. It's tough to find a good spot to like that's our go-to. There's not really one.
Aaron Glenn blitzed a lot, but if training camp has anything to show, they might be blitzing more. And the thing that is different, like I feel like Kevin Shepard's putting our linebackers in better position to get home on the play. Whereas last year we were blitzing, especially after Hutch was out, we were blitzing to create pressure, but not necessarily to get home. I feel like you're going to see Branch blitz more this year, and Branch can do that. He's very good at that. Derek Barnes, I don't know if he's necessarily proved that he could do that in the NFL level, but that's something that he did in college. And his play last year, like he only played the first 2 games, but like a lot of his plays were like stuff you don't see in the box score. It's like, okay, the quarterback wanted to go the tight end in the flat here, but couldn't because Derek Barnes had sniffed that out. Like that's stuff that then he had to go the next progression, or he knocked down a pass or something. Stuff that you don't necessarily see in the box score, but when you're watching that too, you're like, okay, that was a game changing play, even though it doesn't, no one else recognized it. So I do have confidence in our linebacker room. Anzalone is one of the best cover linebackers in the game.
Very good, yeah.
Jack Campbell has now been given the keys to this defense. I mean, given the green dot, which is, Anzalone, Anzalone was out last year a lot with his broken forearm. And at that time, they gave a lot to Jack Campbell, which may be a blessing for this year, that he's already done all that. I think you are right. You get him with the misdirection because the Lions regarded stopping the run as like their primary objective. I mean, they are like really adamant about that. And so, yes, you're going to get your linebackers to crash down. Now, last year when we had really all our backup linebackers in, they were crashing down. They couldn't back up. They couldn't like get back into coverage. I think Jack Campbell, that's one thing we need to see it grow in his game. I think he's very good at run defender. He's very good at sniffing out plays. It's a matter of just coverage. So if he could show that, that's going to be huge. I know what cup play Alex is, and I have confidence Derek Barnes is going to be that guy. I think up the middle they're going to be pretty good with Tyleek and DJ Reader. DJ Reader had a really good camp.
Reader's good, yeah.
Last year he was coming off an injury, so we'll see. I that said, you guys run like more gap or zone for your run block, or is it a combination of both?
It's been a combination. I mean, they were zone for years, and then they've been trying to get to gap, and then they couldn't because they had a lot of injuries in the offensive line, and like guys weren't where they're supposed to be. Last year they went more gap, especially after when Willis came in week 2. They started doing more gap stuff, but it's kind of a mix. I mean, I don't have numbers in front of me, but I think they're probably, I would say maybe 25-30% gap, and then the rest of it is some sort of zone. They really like a lot of the split zone stuff, slice and craft under the line to kind of kick out that end man there. So mostly zone, but I wouldn't be shocked again with some of the guys they added this year with Jenkins in the middle there. They've been trying to go more gap for years, and so we saw a taste of it last year. I wouldn't be shocked as if they go heavier into that this year.
It'll be interesting. I think from what I remember, I mean, Jacobs didn't really gash us last year. I know he had the 3 touchdowns in the last game that we played, but every time they would run, like they would just create space. Like I just remember creating space, and I think you're gonna have to get creative against this front, and then we'll see. I mean, it's gonna be so hard to tell because we had so many injuries last year. Jacob and I forgot what this defense looks like. Our number 1 defense looks like.
Yeah, it was pretty ugly for you guys by the end of the year in terms of guys that were not playing for sure.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Your guarantee time. So it doesn't have to be the score, doesn't have to be, it could be anything, could be over under, could be a player stats, whatever. What do you think is going to happen in this game? Or what do you feel confident that's going to happen in this game?
Man, give me Matthew Golden 75 yards and a touchdown. I think they are gonna. Okay. I think they're pushing him out there early. Like I said, I think they see him as their one. They're giving him. He worked exclusively with the ones in preseason. They moved him around all over. Like to me, that was very much a like. Even if we're in heavy, what can Matthew Golden handle? And he looked like he could handle all of it. So I think he's going to be out there a bunch. They're going to look for ways to get the ball in his hands. Good route runner. I mean, I do think it's going to be relatively run heavy, but they're going to look to push the ball. And Golden is. I mean, a smaller guy, but he's got speed and also pretty good contested catch guy and tremendous hands. So I think I wouldn't be shocked if out the gate, first out the gate is just shot to Matthew Golden. Play action, 7-step drop, bomb to Golden. I wouldn't be shocked if that's play 1 just to kind of set a tone. I know they did that, I guess 2 years ago against the Lions, the Watson one, Thanksgiving. That first year with Watson.
We remember.
Yeah. Well, the first year with Watson, this was the big thing that all the Packers fans remember. Watson's first year, their very first play against the Vikings was a bomb to Watson, who was 2 steps on whoever the devil the Vikings starting cornerback was that year. Rodgers hits him in stride and Watson drops it. So everyone wants redemption for that. Do the same thing for Golden. First snap, send him deep. He catches it this time. So I wouldn't be shocked if that's the call at the gate. But I think he has a pretty nice game for his first game.
I don't like the 2 words together, wide receiver, Green Bay Packers, and good hands. I like when you guys drop passes.
It feels weird. It feels weird to say it.
Yeah.
My God. I know the first game we played you, it was raining, and you like had that little thing on it, but yeah, that had to be so frustrating. Do you think that is the wide receivers, or do you think that's the way Jordan Love is delivering the ball? Because like Stanford had the same thing where we had good receivers and they would just drop the ball, and just wondering if you think that that's
Listen,
just all a wide receiver, or if that's
you're asking a man who hates Matthew Stafford.
I know.
You don't want me
Yeah.
weighing in on this. No, I mean, I don't see. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on this. I don't see anything in Jordan Love's ball where you're like, oh, that looks like a hard ball. Like that's his deep ball. Man, feathery soft, man. Like he will put touch on even the stuff he puts bullets on. I think some of these guys, I mean, Wicks has terrible hands, or has had terrible hands last year. That was not really an issue for him in the first year, but it was an issue for him in college. Like coming out of Virginia, he had issue with his hands. Reed, I think one of the books on him, he was undersized. I think Michigan State, if I'm not mistaken, a little undersized, but also kind of iffy hands coming out. Dobbs was the same way. So I think some of these guys, I've put some of it on the receiver coach. I can't remember where he came from, but some of it may be receiver coach. Some may just be luck of the draw. I mean, they were not drafting guys. You say they didn't draft anyone in the first round. They tried to draft Watson in the first round. They tried to trade into the first to get Watson. Minnesota had the last pick. I think they had traded into that pick, and Minnesota wouldn't trade it. And so the Watson is technically a second round pick. They tried to get him in the first. But sometimes you take those guys in those middle rounds. They drop to the middle rounds for like Wicks. If you watch the way Wicks moves, the speed that he cuts, everything he does, if that guy could catch coming out of college, first round pick, second round pick. Instead, like he was not. So there's some of these guys you pick a little later, you have some flaws in their game, and I think that's one of them for these guys. So I don't think it's Jordan Love. I don't know for sure. I've not heard anyone say it. I've not heard any of the receivers go, man, Jordan Love's ball sucks. I have no idea, but I think it's just some of these guys, and they're putting work in. So I don't know what the answer is, but we hope that Golden finally breaks through.
The Vikings wish they traded that pick because I think that's the pick that they drafted Lewis Seen.
It was
because the Lions originally had that pick, traded up, used it to get JMO, and then Lewis Seen, who's I don't know. I know that they cut him. I don't even know if he's
not
in the league.
I think. Listen, I think that entire draft. I think there's maybe one player in that draft for the Vikings. If we want to just collaborate here in a minute and get together and pile on a division rival, I think there's maybe one player in that Vikings draft that's still in the league, and that was like 2 years ago.
I know when they were stockpiling picks and trading all these guys around, I was like, what are they? They don't draft well over there, so I don't know.
Not even a little. Not even a little.
No, and that that only you can only last so long. You can only pay so many free agents. It starts to pile up, and then you can't do it too much longer. All right, Jacob, anything for Dusty before we take off here?
Appreciate you coming on again. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
You're a tolerable Packers fan for sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I know we've talked.
That's what I'm aiming for.
Yeah. Tom Grassi and you. We've talked to both of you guys this year, and we
Grassi's the best, man.
Yeah, it was awesome. So both tolerable Packer fans. And you even softened the blow with your Tigers hat, so we do appreciate that. I didn't have to stare at a Packers logo this whole time. That would have been vomit-inducing, maybe. I don't know. No,
he's got the helmet in the background.
Yeah. I got to represent a little.
Right.
What do you think? The Packers have those uniforms. Is the new uniforms this year with was it the fake? Like I don't know what the fake old style helmet like painted on there. Do you like it or no?
Man, I've been calling for that for years. The Packers used to have one of their old throwbacks to like the 20s stuff was like the navy blue and the circle, the yellow circle, and they wore helmets with it. But the helmets were just round, shiny brown helmets. And I was like, man, I mean, that was Rodgers to Driver. That was the Rodgers to Driver Niners game, whatever year that was. That's been a while. And back then I was like, man, if they just had that helmet, but it looked like an old leather helmet, because it would look so out of place. You got the throwback stuff, but you got this gleaming, shiny brown helmet. I was like, if they could just texturize that to make it look like a leather helmet. So I am the exact right audience for that, because I've been calling for this for like 15 years at this point. So when I saw that, I was like, and listen, I think some people don't like them. That's fine. I think they nailed it. I think the look, obviously you got the weird, like the vents in the helmet, right? So like it's not quite right, but I think they nailed the look of it. I really like, if you're going to do a throwback to that era, I like going for it. I don't like playing safe. Don't give me just a plain brown helmet. I think it looks awesome. I'm a big fan.
All right, good.
I hope more teams do it. Like not just I love the matte stuff too. Like the Vikings had like a matte purple helmet a few years ago that I love. I like that kind of like a little more muted. You've got the texture in there. I hope every team that does a throwback to that era kind of adopts that. I think it looks awesome.
I like the matte helmets, to be honest with you. I like the non-shiny thing. I think it looks cool. So, all right, Dusty, we want to thank you for coming on. Is there anything that you want to promote or tell people to check out or regarding this matchup or anything else that you're doing?
No, I'm over at Acme Packing Company writing stuff over there. So I've got, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out something to do. At some point, I'm hoping before the game, I'll write something about the matchup. We will see. Right now, I think my last thing I wrote, it's been nonstop Micah Parsons, man, since the trade. So I think the last thing I wrote was looking at clips of Micah Parsons against every opponent on the Packers schedule, which is, I think, the only two teams he has not played this year. The Cowboys, obviously, has never played against the Cowboys, and the Steelers has never played the Steelers. So I pulled a bunch of clips, pulled some numbers, did all that stuff. I want to try to get some preview stuff up. If that doesn't happen, which, dude, listen, Wednesday already, that might not happen. To be honest with you, that might not happen. After the game, I'll have some kind of recap film stuff falling out of that. So we'll see, but that's on FP Packing. I'm on Pack-A-Day on Wednesday, which is the Packers podcast, which none of your people are going to want to care about unless you want to hear people miserable if the Lions win this weekend. And then by all means, tune in on Wednesday to Pack-A-Day to hear me and Steve and Sarah crying a little bit. And yeah, man, I think that's it.
All right, Dusty. Well, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. We play Thanksgiving this year, so it's going to be a tight week. We'll see how that all shakes out again, but I hope to see you later on this season. And I can't say good luck to you, man. I can't do it.
That's fine. You
we're
can
the
give us
same
good luck in
division.
week 2. Maybe a good luck in week 2, maybe.
Yeah. If you're
Okay.
playing someone else, like they're playing the Vikings or the Bears, then at least I get some benefit out of a win. But I hope you have a good season. Dusty, I appreciate you coming on here. You're a good dude. So I don't want to see you unhappy personally, but I don't want to see your team win either at the same time.
That's fair. It's a tough road to hoe, but I understand. Yeah. Same to you. Same exact thing to you, boys. I hope
We've got the Tigers
in your personal lives, and I hope everything else about football is miserable. But I hope we get to celebrate a World Series together this year.
Oh, that would be amazing, wouldn't it, Dusty? All right, Dusty. We'll check you I'll check you. Was it? I don't know what week it is. What week is that? That is week 13. So it's quite a ways away. So we're spread out pretty far. So
be here before you know it, man. Be here before
it
you know
will be. Oh, man, I don't want to wish it away. I'm living in this moment where football's just starting, and I like this feeling. All right. Thank you, Dusty.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Welcome back. All right, Jacob. It's time. We need to talk keys of victory. I have 3 on my list. I don't know how many you have. Do you want to start, or you want to go?
You go first, because I split mine. I've got one offense, one defense is how I did it. So if you got 3, then you'll go first. We'll go back and forth like that.
Cool. All right, man. So some of these keys to victory, I get to think, I'm like, well, that's pretty simple. I mean, you want to do that. Like, obviously, you want to limit turnovers and all that stuff.
I do the same exact thing.
And so I'm like, well, that's like every game, but there are some things that are just more important in the game just based on who you're playing. And this one, my thing is, we want to be successful on first down, and we keep in second and third and shorts. And the reason why I'm saying that is that Micah's on a snap count, right? So we want to limit his time to get on the field to make an impact on the field. He's probably not going to play. If he's on a limited snap count, I'm going to say he's probably not going to play many first downs. He's going to be mostly they're waiting for second and third and long. So we can lessen his impact if we can get, just be successful on first down and stay ahead of the sticks. So I know that's every game you want to stay successful and get short distances, but I think in this game, generally that would help limit Micah's impact.
Right. We don't want him to come in and, terrorize the game for us right away. So we have to, game plan around that. That's kind of along the same line. So, I want them to lean on Gibbs and Montgomery, wait for Green Bay to overplay the run. And you can do that with Micah Parsons out there, even if that is second. Obviously, we have no shame in running on third down. And that's kind of the perfect game plan for when Micah comes out there. If he's not on first or second, he comes on third and 6. Well, now we're going to run it at you, and you're over pursuing because you're trying to get to the quarterback. Those kinds of things are going to happen. That's what they do with Ben Johnson. I imagine it's going to be the same with Johnny Moe. At the same time, I want to try to scheme some quick passes in, get them coming down, crashing down on the run, crashing down on these quicker ones, and then we can test them out on some deep throws. We just have to take care of the football. Last year, Goff threw a really bad interception, and that kind of was the reason that Green Bay was able to stay in the game. I think it was coming out of halftime. Green Bay had scored. We get the ball back, and then Goff throws a bad pick to Nixon. We can't, obviously, like you said, can't win the game by turning the ball over, but that's something really important, especially in these divisional games. Take care of the ball, stick to the game plan.
Yeah, this one, I think I want to keep pressure on Love. Love is a guy that will throw off his back foot, and he will just throw the ball up for grabs. We need to keep pressure on him, especially he hasn't played that much. Everyone wants to complain that Goff didn't get any time in the preseason. We should have gotten him few reps here and there. Jordan Love hasn't even practiced. He was out for he's out there in the meetings and stuff, but he's not out there practicing. So I'm of a guy. The thought is just make Love make one or two mistakes. That's all we need is to him throw up a ball that shouldn't be there, and let our safeties go make a play on it.
Just like last year. On a screen, Kirby
Mhm.
Joseph stealing it right before halftime and taking it to the house.
Yes.
So my
Gingerly
big
running
key,
through the end zone so he didn't slip.
yeah, right. My big key to victory here is going to be not to stop Josh Jacobs, slow down Josh Jacobs. So, last season in that game that we won towards the end of the season, he had 3 touchdowns against us. But those touchdowns came on 18 carries for 66 yards. It's not like he was tearing us apart and gashing us and just keeping, extending these things. All of his rushing touchdowns were inside of the 10, and 2 of them were inside the 5. I think one of them was like fresh off a pass interference in the end zone. So slow down Josh Jacobs enough that we make Jordan Love throw 35 to 40 passes. Like I said, not completely stop him, slow him down, make Jordan Love throw it on third down. You go through these guys. DJ Reader didn't play in, I think, one, maybe both. No, he didn't play in one game. Obviously, we didn't have Tyleek. Davenport did not play. Hutch did not play. Anzalone missed a game. Derek Barnes did not play. All of these core members on our defense did not even play against the Packers last year. So I think with these guys out there, we're going to be able to slow down Josh Jacobs. And if we do it how the Vikings did to them last year, which was, the Vikings scored on their first drive, they stopped the Packers, they scored again, and then before you know it, Love's throwing 50 passes just because they're down by 20, before halftime. So I mean, that's the way to win any football game, but especially when you have someone that wants to run first with Josh Jacobs, you got to slow him down and make him throw the ball.
Yep. I'm right with you. No, that's perfect. And it's crazy when you go through all those names that you just went through of who was missing. I mean, we were pulling guys off other people's practice squads for that second Packers game. That was so late in the year. Yeah, we did have a lean for both those games. I believe a lean because the Buffalo game was after that. So we are going to be down him, but our run defense. DJ Reader is a guy that no one's talking about that had a really good camp, and he is going to, if he can become even just a little bit better, he was good with the run last year, but if he can just get any pass rush juice out of the center, we're going to be very, very, very dangerous, especially with Hutch on the other side. So it's going to be awesome to have our linebacking crew back. Having Anzalone in there is going to make the hugest of differences. Them, especially if they're going to try and run to a screen game or anything like that, our linebackers will be there to blow it up. So I like that. That's a great point, Jacob. My second and third one are very related. But I am waiting for our safeties, Branch and Kirby, to just bait Love into something. I really feel like they're experienced enough that they're going to do that. Kirby loves intercepting Packer quarterbacks, and he's very, very, very good at it. So I'm looking for him to get a pick in this game, and I just want them to bait them, especially you got a rookie wide receiver Golden out there in his first game ever. Lambeau, this is going to be a huge moment for him. Let him get alligator arms with Branch or Kirby bearing down on him. Just some sort of mistake. I think safety play in this game is going to be very, very important.
At the same time, you also don't want to try to bait Jordan Love and you play off somebody like Golden that maybe has some deceptive speed or that we're not used to seeing him. But yeah, I think Brian Branch might give Matthew Golden his welcome to the NFL moment week 1 right away. They talk about those big hits that they remember forever. Well, I think that might be, they're going to be trying to deliver that for sure.
Yep, just keep your head up and don't hit him in the head. We want to keep him
Yeah,
in the
right,
game.
right.
No double bird status. So, all right, new section that we've added to the Pride preview this year. It's called the Roar Alert. So we have the grit guarantee still, where we'll predict, something that's going to happen in the game, that we're going to guarantee something that's going to happen in this game. But the Roar Alert is for that Lions player, or could be a position group, could be anything. Who's going to make some noise? Who's going to impact this game? So, Jacob, who do you have for your Roar Alert?
So right away, we've been hearing an awful lot about how Johnny Mo is going to utilize Jamison Williams. I think that there's going to be a highlight play by J-Mo, something that we're going to want to watch on repeat, something that we want to put on YouTube as a short. Hopefully he makes several impactful plays in this game, and we don't just see, 2 or 3 targets or anything, but there's going to be at least one that there's some fireworks from Jamison Williams.
All right, I like it. You went offense, I went defense.
All right.
And mine goes, everyone's talking about one defensive end in this game, Micah Parsons. Everyone's curious. It's like we forgot that we have Hutch on our team, and Lions fans have forgotten that we have this guy. Other teams have forgotten that we have this guy that's going to transform this game. Hutch didn't get to play either game versus the Packers. He hasn't played in over 300 days. This guy is ready to play, and he is going to dominate out. I mean, he's going to be just ready. I hope he doesn't play out of his shoes and run past Jordan Love, create some running lanes because he's so excited to get out there. Hutch is going to have a game. He's going to impact this game heavily. He's going to impact my enjoyment of this game heavily because I will love seeing. We spent the whole last third of the season just trying to generate some sort of pressure with so many blitzes, and I still think Shep's going to blitz, but Hutch is going to be able to get home. And that's the difference. We were not getting home even when we were getting pressure. Now, you don't have to get all. I don't want to say that pressure itself is not as bad if we don't get home. You could, with our secondary as good as they are, getting pressure and getting the ball out sooner than the quarterback wants to could have some good effects. But Hutch is going to get home. Sacks are, can be drive killers, and so that's what I think Hutch is going to just have multiple impact plays in this game.
Agreed. And I can't wait for it. It's funny because for us, we're so far into it and we've been at practice and everything. We've seen with our own eyes that, Hutch is definitely, he's back and he looks better than he did before. But, for some of these teams, and I actually saw some things like online, on Facebook and Reddit and Twitter and stuff, when they talk about top defensive players and talk about Hutch's contract and stuff, people are counting him out. People are acting as if this injury is going to slow him down. He'll never be the same. They're in for a rude awakening. I hope that Green Bay's thinking of him as an afterthought or that he's going to be slowing down or something because he's relentless and he has not lost a step with that at all.
It's funny. That's a great point you bring up because I actually had a conversation with another dad at flag football today, and he had that same concern. He's like, well, I hope Hutch, because he hopes that Hutch, hasn't lost a step or whatever. As close as attention as you and I have paid all this, everything that we reading from the beat writers and then us seeing it with our own eyes, I kind of forget that not everybody has that vantage point or everybody cares about it as much as we do. And so when you step back and you think, okay, the fan that I just talked to at the beginning of this show that, hasn't been paying attention and now it's week 1, it's football time, yeah, they're going to be surprised how good he looks and all the reports that come out. So yeah, it'll be fun. I can't wait till 425. We got Jim Nantz and Romo on this one too. I don't know if you looked ahead and saw who's calling it.
I'm okay with that.
Yep. All right. Now's the time where we're going to get to our grit guarantee.
It's time for the grit guarantee.
All right, Jacob, you get to go first.
You let me go first again?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, here we go. My grit guarantee for this week, another offense. I'm going offense again. I'm saying Amon-Ra finds the end zone. He's played 8 games in his career against the Packers. He's caught a touchdown in 3 of those 8. He had a slow start last season in week 1 against the Rams. If you remember, he had 3 catches for 13 yards, and he does not want to start the season off like that again. He wants to be involved. Obviously Amon-Ra is not going to be somebody that he'll take the win over getting the ball, but I've got Amon-Ra scoring a touchdown. And it could be catching, it could be throwing, running.
Running. Yeah, punt return maybe.
I hope not.
No, that's not
I'll
gonna
count
happen.
that one out.
Yeah. I'm saying offensive as well. I'm going with Gibbs. 100 yards with a touchdown. So he's going to hit the century mark right away. Not saying that because I drafted him in both of my fantasy leagues. I'm saying that because Kenny Clark is no longer in the middle of this defense. We are going to be able to run on this team. So I'm going to hand it to Gibbs and let him do some damage. My question for you is, do they start out this series? Do they start out with Gibbs as the starter or Monty?
We've
do you
talked about
think?
this several times, and we keep
I
revisiting
know I'm putting it
but
on you right now, though.
Well, I still think
the
that they've
moment's upon
switched.
us.
I still think that they switched. I think that Gibbs starts with the ball. I know, like,
Okay.
you had said before. Do you feel differently? Because before you said you like the continuity and you like letting Demo handle that first drive and setting the tone with his aggressive running.
I do like that, and I do think that there's a benefit to that. But also, I think, wouldn't it be sweet to just hit a home run right off the bat? It's like
right.
Jahmai Jones hit that leadoff home run on the first pitch.
Yeah.
Gibbs goes on a 70-yard run right away and just, puts a dagger in right away. That'd be pretty sweet. Gibbs has run mostly with the number one offense, whereas Monty ran with the number twos. I don't know if that's, I don't know. Was this a Ben Johnson thing? Was this a Lions thing? Dan Campbell thing that Monty started out? I could go either way, but this might be the year that Gibbs takes over Monty and gets to start off the game.
Another question.
Or we could both be right. They both are on the field at the same time.
That's what I was just going to say to you. Another question. Do they both show up at the same time at the first drive?
Man, wouldn't that be a way to start out the season? Both of them on the field at the same time. Everything, we
Can you imagine the first play? Very first play, they're both in the backfield.
What are they going to run? What I want to see is like that double screen pass where you fake it to one side, either Gibbs or Monty, and then swing back to the other side and then throw it to him. Or what would be even sweeter would be have, Gibbs in the slot, Monty back. They fake, one side Monty and then Laporta screen on the other side, like that tight end screen. Laporta's so good at that. Using Gibbs as just a decoy out in the slot, thinking it's going to have to go to him. Oh man, so many possibilities.
Yeah,
that'll be cool.
So much room for activity.
All right. I think it's time. We're gonna hit. We'll go outside of the Lions game here. We're gonna do with our grit picks.
Grit picks.
Jacob and I pick every game that's a primetime game. So Thursday night football. This week it's Friday night football, and then Sunday night football and Monday night football. So we're gonna go back and forth here. I'm gonna start out with. I'll go first. Dallas at Philadelphia. Got to go with Super Bowl champs on this. I'm gonna take the Eagles, especially now that they're down. Down Micah Parsons. Whether he was going to play in this game or not, to begin with, I don't know. Kenny Clark will certainly help, maybe against Saquon, but Saquon can just bust it to the outside. We'll see how it goes. But I got the Eagles on this one. How about you?
Agreed. In the two combined games last season, the Eagles outscored the Cowboys 75-13. That's how bad they beat the Cowboys last year. Cooper Rush did start both of those games for the Cowboys, so take that for what it's worth. But the Eagles' core is practically the same. Kellen Moore obviously went to be the head coach of the Saints, but I don't expect a significant drop off from the Eagles. So they could be riding a Super Bowl high, and the Cowboys have like an outside chance of keeping it close, but I don't think so. Probably closer than either of the games last year, but I think Philly wins, comfortably.
Yeah, unless a turnover comes, no untimely turnover or something like that, I could see. I mean, I think the offense that the Cowboys have is probably good enough, but it's, they're missing like a huge piece on that defense that was there, and it's kind of last second shock. So we'll see how that goes. All right, Jacob, Friday night, got Kansas City versus Los Angeles Chargers. Who are you picking in this one?
The Chiefs won both games against the Chargers last year. They were both really close games. One of them was a last-second field goal. So I think this one is going to be really close, too. This is going to be a huge season for Justin Herbert to try to prove himself. He's got a lot of talk as an elite quarterback, but has not really, shown that, especially the way that the season ended in the playoffs for him last year. So I think the pressure is going to be on him to come out week one and find a way to get it done. The Chiefs are distracted by their wedding invitations, so I'm going to say that the Chargers are going to upset them in week one.
I agree with you. I'm going with the Chargers in this one, too. This is the start of the downfall of the Chiefs. I know I picked them 12-5, but I could just see a slip. They won so many games last year in fluky manner.
Right.
Things could just flip real quick. We'll see. I mean, Andy Reid's a good coach, so I don't think they'll be down long. But, yeah, I'm going with the Chargers in this one. All right. This Sunday night football game I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, I'm really looking forward to football in general. Obviously, the Lions-Packers is the number one game. Thursday night game is fun just because the game's starting. I'm not overly excited about the matchup. But as far as matchup Baltimore versus Buffalo, week 1. I mean, you're talking 2 of the top, if not the 2 top quarterbacks in the league playing Sunday Night Football, week 1. I'm excited about this. I was conflicted. This is a tough one, but I'm going with the Bills in this game to win. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Ravens, the Ravens, they opened last year with the Chiefs and lost because Likely's foot hit the back of the end zone, right?
Yeah.
And that could have been the game leading touchdown. I don't know. I don't know how close it's going to be, but I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills on this one. How about you?
Yeah, this was a toss-up for me, too. This is going to be a really good game. This is must-see TV. But they played in Week 4 last season, and the Ravens beat the Bills 35-10. But then they played in the playoffs, and then, Mark Andrews dropped that 2-point conversion, that would have tied the game. So, Buffalo had it later in the season, and it is a home game for Buffalo, and Buffalo's going to be a tough place to play. I still have the Ravens winning a close game, though.
All right. Well,
we'll see right from the jump how hurt Lamar Jackson really is, if that's really something to be concerned about or not for them.
All right. Monday Night Football. This is going to be a good game for us to watch just because it's 2 division opponents. First time we see Ben Johnson, head coach a game. So I reluctantly went. Actually, you're first on this one. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I was pondering, should we just hope for a tie? Like, do I even want to pick one of them? Like, they both just, But honestly, I'm excited for the game because I want to see how J.J. McCarthy looks for the Vikings offense, and I want to see how the Bears offense looks, to see with Ben Johnson. Do they look like the Lions did last year? Are they going to fall flat right from the jump? Are either of these teams going to come out firing on all cylinders and both look like contenders, or are they going to have growing pains? So I really want to see what they have. It's tough for me to pick either one of them. I'm going to pick that the Vikings win. Right now, the Vikings are favored by 1.5. They're playing in Chicago, though, Monday night. So, yeah, I'm going Vikings.
I'm going with the Bears in this one. So we'll see. We'll let Ben Johnson get overconfident coming into, and all those Chicago fans thinking that they got the Super Bowl coming their way, and then they're going to hit the rude awakening in week 2 when they got to face our Detroit Lions in Ford Field. Ben Johnson gets to hear, gets, to fight the crowd noise in Ford Field with that offense. So we'll, it'll be interesting. But I'm going with the Bears in this one. I don't want to root for Ben Johnson. My question for you, okay, so when I was thinking about this, now that the Micah Parsons trade has happened, I know there was a lot of Ben Johnson hate. Has all that hate like it was like, do we hate the Bears more than the Packers? I don't know. But now that the Micah Parsons thing because of recency bias, or is it like now I always hated the Packers more anyways. Do all that hate just went over there and we forget about Ben Johnson, or what's your thoughts on that?
No, I don't forget about Ben Johnson, but the hate for the Packers is always there. This doesn't. I mean, I don't think the Micah trade made me hate them anymore. If anything, it just made it more interesting because now the fans, I feel like a lot of their fans already thought that they were going to they act like they have not left the top of the division. They still act like they're on the top. So yeah, now the Micah Parsons thing, they're like, you just give us the Super Bowl right now. And I saw people are projecting the Lions to finish last in the division and everything. So, I mean, that part's funny to me, but the hate for the Packers outweighs the hate for the Bears. I just want the Bears to fall flat just because of what happened. Ben Johnson left and went there. I just don't want their offense to look very good. I want the question, like in the middle towards the end of the season, to be, or actually the answer maybe to be like, you know what? It was Dan Campbell. It wasn't Ben Johnson. He wasn't the mastermind. Mm-hmm. I want us to keep performing at a high level, and I want them to, I can't think of a different word, fall flat. I want them to, I want them to look mediocre.
Fall on their face. You want them to, you just don't want them to look good. And and we want to stand up for Dan Campbell. We want, people are like, what I don't understand is everyone's like, oh, you lost 2 coordinators, but then they'll put the Bears winning the division. Like the Bears didn't overhaul their whole coaching staff.
Right. Yes.
That isn't going to take time to gel. Like, no, we still have the head guy. We promoted from within. So it's not like we're bringing in and we're, shaking up everything. No, I mean, that narrative cannot leave fast enough for me. The whole coordinator. And if we struggle in the first 2 games, it's only going to get bigger But last year, Ben Johnson, we struggled offensively the first 2 weeks. Like we weren't bad by any means, but we weren't clicking on all cylinders, right? And so that narrative needs to go away real fast from the net. That's the only thing they're clinging to. And I know you said like people are picking the lines. It was Devin Hester. He's just saying, "Oh, they're known for their offense," and now such a dumb take. Because I mean, yes, okay, that is something that we have to see how that works out. I get it, but again, to ignore the whole thing with rookie quarterback over with the Vikings, a whole new coaching system with Caleb Williams, who second year quarterback wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire last year, and like all of a sudden, like we're going to promote him against Jared Goff, who was in the MVP talk for much of the season last year. Whatever, let them do that. Like Jared Goff said in his interview, he likes being in that underdog position, and frankly, I like it too. I like people counting us out because it's only going to make the players that we have go harder, because that's the type of guys that they are. They're just like football players, and they're like, oh, you don't think we're real? Like Panay Sewell, you want to tell that guy that we're not for real? Oh, okay, good. I can't wait for the pregame speech.
Yeah,
I can't wait to hear what he's got to say. All right, man. I think it's time we wrap this up, and yeah, next time we're talking, hopefully we're talking about a Lions victory. Hopefully it's a big victory too. Shut those Packer fans up.
For sure. Right. Start the season off right.
Anything before we head out? Yeah.
FTP.
Good call. All right, man. We'll leave on that and also on a Go Lions.